I huffed and puffed under my breath as I stared into God's mouth. I felt like the big bad wolf, ready to interrupt the three innocent little pigs as they hurriedly fortified their makeshift homes. I grinned at this little thought, and then turned my head to look at Margaret. She was a couple feet down from the entrance of the cave, holding a walking stick close to her petite breasts. "Hurry up," I called down to her. I turned back to the cave, still grinning. An old rotted sign outside said, "God's Mouth Cave. Keep out." Oh, what a tired cliché. Margaret finally made it to the entrance and stood beside me, almost doubled over and out of breath. I looked down and smiled. Check it out," I laughed. "God's mouth. I wonder where his ass is." I chuckled to myself. Margaret was less than amused.
"Give me the damn water bottle,"
she said, exasperated. Then the open bottle met her lips, and for a moment I felt peaceful in a way, watching her drink the water. Actually, I take it back. The peaceful thing, I mean. It was more of a feeling I couldn't really give a name. Hard to put my finger on. I guess I can settle for a nice content. Yes, content. That seems nice. Content seemed to be one of those words that manifests itself when natural human words seem to fail. Again, another cliché, but it felt good to feel estranged, mixed up, sort of happy for once. I sighed and turned my flashlight on, and I pointed it into the cave. Black. God's mouth. Seemed like the antithesis of the Holy Spirit. I turned again to Margaret. "You ready?" I asked. She was finally standing straight up. She nodded. I clapped a friendly hand to her back and we walked into God's mouth. The inside was unlike the preview I had glimpsed outside with my flashlight. Dark, dismal, and endlessly black. It seemed to stretch so far, endlessly. No matter where I positioned or how I positioned my flashlight, the rocky terrain was damp and imposing, and the last natural light slowly disappeared behind Margaret and I as we made our way deeper and deeper. I found it strange how soft and oddly compelling the world around me now appeared, despite the stalactites, stalagmites, and other various rocky formations being so jagged. It seemed that even amongst the most pointed teeth of God, I could lay down there and rest forever. It was comfortable. Apparently Margaret didn't agree. She shivered uncomfortably under my arm. I raised my eyebrows. "Need your coat?" I asked. I tried to look at her and make non-verbal communication as explicit as possible, but I realized that we were lost in the inky blackness of the mouth. I bit my lip and waited, but she didn't respond. For a couple minutes we walked in silence, and then she stopped and stood motionless. I stopped too.
"Why the hell are we even in here?"
I shrugged, more to appease myself than her, and shoved my flashlight under my face. Bladed shadows obscured half my face, and the other half illuminated into a wretched mask. "Spooky," I cried, chuckling. She didn't move. I sighed. "I thought you wanted to go," I said. I noticed how my voice echoed against the cave, even at any volume. I began again, scratching my chin. "You did say you wanted to go see some nature for our vacation, and you did sound impressed when I told you about my Mammoth Cave visits a couple years back. My voice trailed off. I could still sense her irritation.
"No."
I frowned.
No, you wanted to go here. I wanted to go to a beach or something, but no, a cave. Cave, Nathan.
She sounded more like the big bad wolf now.
Look, I know you have this weird fetish for spelunking or something, but I don't really want to get dragged into it. No, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love to go on a trip and get into nature and fresh air and all that crap, but...
I could hear her arms flail and gesture about in thick air.
This isn't fresh air, this is cave air. This is practically fermenting. Nathan, plus isn't this illegal? Can we just leave?
We both stood there. The only sound that could be heard was the electricity in the air being stifled and smothered by the damp atmosphere. Finally, I began to walk, but I didn't hear Margaret follow me. I kept moving forward, and then...
Please stop.
So, I stopped.
I'm sorry.
I could hear her coming closer to me.
I'm just tired, and I'm not used to running and climbing around, and just tired.
Oh, it's okay. She gripped my arm. Really, it's fine. I shook my head. Which way is out? I don't remember. I could feel Margaret physically pause. Neither of us can remember. Somehow, in the confusion of our argument, I'd forgotten which way we'd been moving. Idiot, I thought to myself. I should have brought a goddamn rope or something from the entrance of the cave. I had to take action. So without a thought, I turned 180 degrees and said, "This way." We walked for what seemed to be hours. My feet were tired and sore, and I could hear Margaret's groans from behind me. She held my hand tightly. I felt terrible. This was my fault. And then I froze. Hey. Put your hand out. Feel this rock. I could hear Margaret's bare palm press against the stones. Isn't this abnormally warm? I said. She didn't say anything. I began to work my way along the wall, feeling it as I went, shining the flashlight in front of me. And suddenly I felt a sharp pain on my head, as the ceiling of God's mouth hit my scalp. Ow, Jesus! Ah.
Nathan, you okay?
She seemed on the verge of panic now. I'm fine. Please, calm down. We'll get out of here soon, I promise. I started again, pointing my flashlight upwards to see the ceiling above me. It seemed to be getting narrower. That was strange. Listen, Margaret, honey, I said through clenched teeth. I think we gotta turn around. Margaret sighed next to me, and again we walked for decent length. I kept my flashlight pointed upwards this time, and sure enough, the cave space seemed to become smaller and smaller. If there was any resonating light left from God's mouth aside from my flashlight, I'm sure Margaret would have been able to see the whites of my eyes spreading in panic. We were completely lost. I let go of Margaret's hand. I began to feverishly feel my way amongst the walls.
Nathan? Nathan!
I heard her shout, but I kept going. We had to get out if we were lost. But nobody would be able to come and find us. I kept feeling along the wall until I abruptly hit a corner. Fuck, I said aloud. Margaret, this seems to be a dead end. I spun around on my heel. Margaret? No answer. Shit. I began to repeat this process again, almost running as I felt the wall run past my fingertips. Cool, damp rocks, jagged spears. And suddenly I found myself in another corner again. Fuck. Margaret! I was belting her name now, in the corner of the cave's maw, where I'd been thwarted so many times already. I heard a noise. It sounded like a muffled static from a television. I pressed my ear against the rock. It seemed to be getting warmer now, even warmer. And then I heard the faint sounds of Margaret on the other side of that rock. She was screaming. No, 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 no! I began running haphazardly into the walls around me. With a dawning realization, it became a wave of sheer horror. There wasn't an entrance, there wasn't an exit, only 4 corners and me. I could feel blood trickle from the cut I managed to get by bashing my body against the cave's walls. They were closing in on me. They were coming in for the kill, and soon they'd be pressing on my skull and crushing me. And I sat there for hours, waiting for death. My flashlight was becoming dim, blinking. Finally, I felt the soft touch of these rocky walls press against my back. I began to cry as I lay down on the ground. I let my flashlight roll on small hills of stone. As I quietly stayed prone, tears dripping at my face. I turned and looked at the flashlight, its last fading beams of light pointed at something not far away from my face. I squinted in darkness. My eyes widened, and I felt more tears fall harder from my face. But it wasn't the rocks piercing my skin, and how my blood dripped from all sides that made me cry. It was there, in the last light of my flashlight. The appetizer. The spotlight shone on a hand, whose nails were painted red. And I screamed in agony as I watched God's mouth chew its latest meal.